Welcome to Marathon Champions, the podcast where running legends Benji Durden, Bill Rogers, and Ron Tabb share their timeless wisdom on marathon training and inspire listeners with their wealth of experience. These champions continue to impact the running world today.
Did you think about times that much when you raced?
I did sometimes. If I was like chasing Joan Benoit Samuelson's American record, I was looking at my watch not every mile, but every 5K to see if I was like at that, if it was panning out. Yeah. But there nothing replaces the feeling of just getting out there and racing your heart out.
I don't. I had to chase times occasionally when I first started because I was trying to get trials qualifying.
Right.
But for the most part, when I raced, I just raced.
That's right.
And that was pretty much the attitude of everybody around me. We were trying to beat each other. We didn't care if the courses were hard, made us slow. We didn't care, if it was a windy day or a rainy day, we were racing. And
Right.
I think I agree with you. I think by focusing so much on times, we've lost a bit out of the sport.
Yeah, and I'll dip a toe in each side of the water here in each water because there's nothing like the grittiness that comes with an effort of racing against your competition. But then you also have a contract that says, oh, if
Yeah.
you break this course record, you're going to get a $20,000 bonus. And you're like, okay, so I kind of want to go after this record. I don't want to just win the race. I want to go after this record. So you go into that mode. So I've run races both ways, but the real gratification comes from just grit and grind and getting the best out of yourself out there, racing against the competition.
Yeah, contracts started doing that in probably the second half of my career. The first half,
Yeah.
we didn't even have contracts. It's just my first Nike contract was a handshake with Jeff Hollister.
Yeah.
He would give me free shoes. We didn't have those concepts. It grew, and I know the sport has gone along that path. But I don't know how you do a scalp contract. How beating certain people that would make it more interesting. There was a long time where people were complaining about the top distance runners were not racing each other.
Yeah.
There was a Cohen Ovet, in theory, I don't think it was true, but people were complaining they avoided each other when
Yeah.
they were the two top milers in the world. And so, it's we are at the bottom line, it's a sport, but it's also entertainment.
Right.
And you've got to come up with what is entertaining, what makes people want to watch us do this. Because if they don't want to watch us doing this, nobody's going to pay us to do it.
Right. Right. Yeah. And there's got to be a balance in that where you're swallowing your ego and going to head-to-head competition, because it draws the best out of you regardless, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think we protect ourselves as athletes, so many of us protect our egos, but you only get better by racing against the best.
Yeah.
I think that's
So,
why, to answer your question about favorite races, World Cross being that, it was the best in the world. And I learned so quickly that when you crest a hill, you don't catch your breath. You surge again, and then you surge down the hill, and then you surge out of the hill. It was like every opportunity on the course was an opportunity to surge and drop your competition. There was no time to rest until you crossed that finish line. And I learned that in World Cross. Like the best in the world were making moves when I would try to control my breathing, and I'm like, wait, where are they going? Wait for me. So I love that notion of getting on the starting line with the best of the best, because if you beat them, then you're the best. If
Yeah,
you're dodging them and just going to easy competitions to keep your winning streak, that's not making a better athlete out of you.
Deena, you had an amazing career, but there had to be, like all of us have had at one time or another, we've had a race that that it still sets in a bad tone, that we didn't reach or we didn't do you said something about the Olympics and you thought you made a tactical error and you could have possibly won. So what was that race that really, if you could go back and redo it, we just discussed it, but there's got to be a disappointing race somewhere along the line.
Yeah, it's as an athlete, I think when you go to races on the starting line, they're reading all the highlights of your career. When you get introduced at a speaking engagement, it's the highlights of the year. The truth is there are far more disappointments than a lot of those high notes. And I think that's what keeps us insatiable and coming back. It's why resiliency is probably the greatest trait of any professional athlete, because we do have disappointments, and it's what we do and how we learn and grow from being in that, like wallowing in that disappointment, not being defined by that disappointment, but growing out of it. That really allows us to reach those highs in the sport. The 2004 Olympics come to mind, um, just because I was so fearful of the heat. I was training here in Mammoth Lakes, California. We don't get above 80 degrees on our hottest day, and it's dry and arid. And here we were in Athens with triple digit heat. And I was really nervous about overheating. And it kind of reinforced it in the first 10K when I saw women peeling off the road in front of me and puking, like stumbling down the road and then pulling to the side and puking, like, oh my God, this heat is really bad. So it kind of reinforced my strategy, but I sat back too long. I should have trusted my training and the momentum that I could handle it better because of my high fitness levels. I would say another thing I would like to do over is the entire summer of 2008, leading up to the 2008 Olympics, when I was so fit. I thought I was running for gold that time. Like, I took my Athens experience and I was running for gold, and I really felt I left no stone unturned. I had gotten sick from drinking out of a stream in Boulder, Colorado. I thought I was high enough at, is it called Gold Camp? That it's like at almost 10,000 feet to this area. I was doing a 15-mile run and through this, up into this town called Gold Camp. And I felt I was high enough. I always trained with Coach V Hill driving next to me with water bottles, so I could hydrate every 5K. And I was so thirsty. I just bent down and put a little bit of water to my lips,
You got
and
Giardia?
I got Giardia, but it didn't come until 2 weeks later. I was there for the Boulder, and then I went a couple of weeks later to New York for the mini 10K, and my stomach was really upset. I thought maybe I got food poisoning. I raced anyway. Then it wasn't food poisoning. Then I thought I had the flu, and then that didn't go away. So it was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks of just not absorbing any nutrients. And I finally went to the doctor, found out I had Giardia, stopped running completely, not just because I was weak, but because I needed this like antifungal medication to take effect, and it was really strong. So once I could get I took maybe a week off, and once I got like some solid meals in me and could put some weight on, I was drinking like protein shakes. Once I could put a little bit of weight on, I got back into training, and I was having a great build up to the 2008 Olympics. Mile 3 of the race, I landed and I felt a tightness in my foot, and then the next step, my third metatarsal just snapped in half, and it sounded like a popsicle stick when you like break it, that it like splintered and feathered, and that sound is still so prominent in my head, because I completely lost bone density with Giardia, because my body in triage was protecting my heart, leaching nutrients from my bones to send it to my heart so I didn't go into cardiac arrest. I'm like, my body did that without me telling it. And it just shows like there's so much going on. Ron, I'll go back to Jaslyn, because there's so much that goes on internally that we don't really know until it's too late, until our bone breaks or we have a mono diagnosis. And so I think it really got me in the cycle of getting blood tests every year to make sure that all my benchmarks were okay. It was at the beginning of vitamin D, of understanding the value of vitamin D with absorbing calcium into our bones. That wasn't really a known thing before 2008. And luckily, our physician here, he is a surgeon. Luckily, I've never needed him for surgery, but he was head of the physicians at the Mammoth Hospital, and he's like, I just read this article on vitamin D in the Journal of Science and Medicine, and I think we should get your vitamin D levels checked. I had
Ooh.
zero
Yeah,
vitamin D in my
that's
body.
really weird because you're getting plenty of sunshine, which also helps produce it.
Right. I live at altitude. My job is running outside. You'd think that
Yeah,
I
so
would
so
have that.
your body wasn't producing. I wonder if
But
you,
I leached it, but I also cover up a lot because I have skin problems.
yeah,
So
I
I
have the
wear
same thing.
sunscreen and I wear long sleeves when I'm outside running. So I think I just wasn't able to restore. So I started just getting it nutritionally because the sun's not an option for me. So nutritionally, it was like mushrooms and cold water fish like herring and salmon and I'm trying to think of some other things. Organic leafy greens, just every meal I ate, I made sure vitamin D was present in that meal in some form or another. So I was able to build up back my vitamin D stores to I was osteoporosis and a bone density test and that blood test, and then was able to have a healthy skeleton 6 months later. So it takes
Okay.
a lot of diligence and work. So for Jaslyn, like being diligent with rest and stress management, like those are worth the focus if it's going to give you your health and vitality.
Do you do probiotics?
I don't take any supplements. No, I've just been skeptical of them in my career because I want to stay a clean athlete, but I also just feel like nutritionally I can get those things. So I
The
guess
only
I get them
reason,
in yogurt.
yeah, you're getting probiotics there. I mean, because one of the things that I think we don't completely understand, although it's getting better, is the biome in our gut.
Right.
And I would think Giardia probably screwed that up for you tremendously.
Big
And
time.
I wouldn't be surprised if something like that was also going on with Jaslyn. That I don't we don't know how much that influences our entire body because because there's a lot more bacteria in us than we realize.
Right. And the value of eating fermented foods and
Yes.
for your health. Absolutely. And I feel like we're just scratching the surface and understanding
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I'm a science fiction fan, and every now and then I'll have a story where they talk about they'll do a brain dump. They'll somehow read all the neurons, but what they don't ever talk about is the endocrine system, which is also part of who we are, as well as now the gut biome, and those things also make up our personality.
Absolutely.
And so, I'm on something lately I've been thinking about is, okay, how would you know, make a new person with bring these things in. I don't know the way, but I do know that if you screw those things up, you've screwed up the personality as well as the physical characteristics of that personality.
Absolutely. We're so complicated, but we're also so enduring when you think about what we could withstand, like our physical bodies withstand a lot of punishment
Oh yeah.
over the years, whether it's psychological and like negativity, whether that's eating foods or drinking alcohol or excessive amount of coffee. I'm thinking of endocrine system of like over caffeinating everybody. Like there's so much that we put our bodies through. It's amazing they stand up to us, but we could also understand it better to be a lot better stewards of the vessels we're carrying around.
Yeah, and our psychology is affected by all that. I mean,
Yeah,
just because we think we're just a brain, there's a lot more to it than that. I mean, I was, biopsych major. That was my undergraduate degree, and I was able to see we couldn't study it because we didn't have the biochemistry back then to really do it properly. But I believe that fluctuations in the endocrine system made a big difference in attitude, behavior, and those things, that even now, they're not really getting studied the way they should be.
right, right.
So, Deena and Benji, what did your meals look like, your pre-race meals before your marathon races? What, what did, I mean, we've seen diet and nutrition play such a significant role in
So,
our
so do you mean the day before, the day of?
the day before and the day of.
Well, I'll tell you a story about the day of. And so in '85, I was a rabbit for Carlos Lopez's world record attempt. And I had initially been supposed to be one of the competitors, but I'd come down with a really bad case of the flu, and I'd thought running, 3-minute kilometers for a marathon was going to be something way out of my ability range. But I could imagine it doing it for 15K, which is basically what I did. So Amy and I were down getting breakfast. It was an afternoon marathon, and we're getting breakfast, and we're eating like a boiled egg and some toast, just something light. And Carlos comes down and he orders a big steak and a bunch of other. I mean, he puts down all kinds of calories, all kinds of stuff on his stomach. I'm thinking, this is not going to be good. And he takes the world record. It was insane. So that's what I start with that because what we might believe is a good idea doesn't necessarily equate with reality. What I would typically do is not eat hardly at all if it was a morning marathon. Uh,
Wow.
I was a fat burner. I learned, I taught my body to basically survive on fat calories. I would sometimes have a boiled egg or something like that, but I didn't really want much in my stomach because I didn't want the stomach to have to be working during the marathon. These days I can do whatever I want. I'm going so slow that digestion is not an issue. I could, have way too many calories and head out the door and run for, what, because I'm running about what I used to race walk in terms of speed. And the day before, though, one of the things I used to like to have is a baked potato, and that was, I felt like that was better for me than just straight pasta. I did the straight pasta thing too, but I like the baked potato more. It also helped, get the roughage through my stomach, and the morning of the race, I wouldn't have to be struggling to get myself evacuated. Also, the other thing, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I would drink back when it was Tab, which was a caffeinated
Yeah.
cola. And the point was to get the caffeine in there because that would stimulate the bowels. It didn't have sugar, so it wasn't going to mess with my insulin levels, but it stimulate the bowels, and I could flush out easier that way because you don't want to have to stop in the middle of the marathon. Although Tom Fleming, on his training runs, he would time himself. He would intentionally find places where he'd have to stop and take a dump, and he'd time himself. He got to where he could do a 20-second dump.
Uh, well, so I want to get back to Deena here in a second, but I don't know if there's any truth to this, but I had heard that Carlos had a steak dinner the night before he won LA in '84.
Oh, that's probably true. I mean, since he had it, like
And when you
maybe
mentioned
four
that he had
hours
it,
before he set the world record.
yeah, I mean, when you made that comment about Rotterdam, I had heard that in LA that he had a steak dinner the night before, which seems just insane to have steak the night before a race.
Yeah.
So, well, I had an incident when I won Sydney, and I was walking by a McDonald's. This is one of the grossest things ever, but it just smells so good. And I went in McDonald's and just had a simple cheeseburger the day before, and it worked out okay. I still ran 2:10 and one. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, Deena, what would you typically do? I
yeah,
mean, it sounds like you're a lot more intelligent about this than we were.
yeah, it's
I'm not sure because I have no scientific basis for this, but like obviously carbohydrates are our energy store. So you want to top up your carbohydrates. So every morning, in training and in racing, I would have some form of carbohydrate, usually toast with butter and jam. It'd be a bagel with, I never, like sometimes it would be a nut butter, but that would be more in practices. Um, and then not just that, but I would always have like a little bit of a scrambled egg, like maybe two scrambled eggs, or a hard boiled egg if I had to get up really early and like just put it on ice, like grab a hard boiled egg the day before and put it on my ice bucket in the morning, for the morning. And the no scientific knowledge is because I would eat the carbohydrates for my body and the protein was for my brain. So I'd like tell myself that the carbs are going to get me through the 26.2 miles, but those eggs are going to be on hand at mile 20 when I need to like really dig down. So I would think about it. When the race started to get hard, I'd be like, okay, this is where my brain comes in and really starts like advocating here. So I would kind of like put them in silos almost, like they didn't both go to my stomach. The carbs went to my whole body and the eggs went to my brain.
Interesting. Yeah.
But similar to Benji, when in 2006 at the London Marathon, we were in the team restaurant, the professional restaurant that we were all eating breakfast at the early morning hours of like 4:30. And the Kenyans were walking by with plates piled high with toast, like 12 pieces of toast in one hand, and their other hand would be a plate with beans and roasted tomatoes, like a traditional English breakfast. And they were walking, and here I was with my 3 pieces of buttered toast, and I was like, oh my gosh. And my husband Andrew was like, they're going to war, Deena. They're fueling for war. And it was a record attempt that day. They were shy of the world record, but it was like just witnessing the monstrous amount of foods that they were eating to take to the starting line was dumbfounding to me.
Yeah, it is amazing. And I think it's a testament to how little we really understand about all this when you get down to it.
Right, because I venture to say that they didn't eat that every morning before their training runs. Before their
No,
training runs, and I have witnessed it, that they jump out of bed. They might have a cup of tea if they're up early enough, but really they just like put on their training clothes and they go out the door without eating anything, and they come back and they have their tea and their meals, their ugali and their stew, but not really eating that quantity. So the fact that they did it just on race day, I will say I always have coffee as well,
yeah,
and
Yeah. I have a coffee.
yeah.
I
sometimes two
use,
cups.
yeah,
But I
training with,
never ate before my training runs. I mean,
No?
I,
no, I mean, during I mean, I do now, but back, I'd get up and, get myself going. And because I'd wake up kind of late, I'd get out and I wouldn't have anything to eat until I finished whatever I was doing that day. And,
yeah.
and
When I,
my logic was, I wanted to be able to teach my body how to deal with being depleted.
Yeah.
And Dr. Dave Martin basically said that was a good idea. He and I used to train together.
Did you really?
Yeah, he and I, we would do long runs on Sundays together.
Oh my gosh, amazing. I did
And
not know that.
yeah, I mean he taught me a lot about running. He was an amazing man. He was a 240s marathoner in his day.
Right,
But
right.
because I would run in, my sweats and my rain suits, and I was carrying a lot of weight. So for me to run, I'd do 240 for a 20 miler, and that was a good run for him. And, we would both get something out of it. But he would explain the physiology of it all to me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he's knowledge is power with him. I am so grateful for just how generously he shared all that he knew about the sport.
We should let you get on. We've really enjoyed this.
This was so fun, you guys. So
this
fun
was,
connecting. Thank you guys so much.
And we
uh,
really appreciate you joining us.
all right. Have a good one. Take
Take
care.
care, you guys. Fun talking.
Bye.
Oh, and happy early birthday.
Oh, thank
What a
you.
day. February 14th. What a great day to have your
Yes,
birthday.
which means I get a lot of chocolate and roses for my birthday.
Very good.
Thanks, y'all.
All right.
Bye.
Take care. Bye
Bye.
bye.